day, they drop anchor and start chumming. Using large circle hooks, heavy Dacron line, a 6-foot braided steel leader, and halibut rods, the gear can handle an 800-pound beast. Anything larger is going to be a dicey proposition. But the two are game for it and settle in to do what everyone who fishes does: wait.
John, I got something.
After an hour in the water, something hits Tinney's line.
It's putting a tug on it.
Putting a tug on it!
Tinney fights the beast for several minutes, and then John takes over.
Ay, ay, ay. Something's moving. What we got?
The pole is back in Tinney's hands as the beast heads for the stern.
We're coming up with it, whatever it is. It's heading that way now. Dad, gum, that thing's heavy.
Yeah.
And then as fast as it hits, it's gone.
Hey, it got lighter.
This thing, did it? You got
I'm hooked into...
Oh!
And it got tangled up in our other line. We lost it then. That is the biggest thing I have ever had on a pole.
Oh my God. Oh,
Man, that thing was heavy.
That was heavy. I've reeled up some 200-pound halibut before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just come from halibut fishing, and I never had anything that heavy.
No. It was trying to take the rod away from me.
The two work fast to get bait back in the water,
Behind it, too.
but the skies are now darkening.
It's getting ugly.
It's getting ugly. Can be ugly.
We wanted to fish longer, after we lost that fish. But the weather on the lake, it can get so bad that you can't travel in a boat the size we were in. And it was coming.
The lake is a man-eater. Tinney and John aren't taking any chances.
On the average, probably 2 people a year die out on this water from, staying too late and boats capsizing. It's not a forgiving lake. You've got to respect it. It's a big water.
Although this may be the one that got away, the two aren't giving up.
We're saving up chum right as we speak to go back and do it again. Chum it up good and give it another try.
Coming up, one of the most famous UFO encounters in the world.
It's quite a big...
If the pilot said it was a UFO, who are we to say it's not?
I think very quite a big...
Alaska winters are long and harsh. Darkness dominates up to 20 hours a day. And each winter, hundreds of Alaskans report seeing UFOs in the sky above.
In the U.S., Alaska is one of the UFO hotspots.
Brent Mitchell is Alaska's top UFO detective. A full-time investigator, his clients include satellite manufacturer Bigelow Aerospace.
For the first time, a major corporation is sponsoring UFO research throughout the United States. UFO sightings seem to occur in a very high percentage and in very large numbers compared to the rest of the United States.
Brent lives outside of Fairbanks, where he catalogs hundreds of sightings every year.
People who live here are instinctively looking at the stars because it's absolutely gorgeous. You have the aurora, you have meteor showers, so people are used to looking up.
The most spectacular natural sight in the Alaska sky is the aurora borealis. The shimmering sheet occurs when hot ionized gases from space collide with Earth's magnetic field. Are the number of UFO sightings being driven skyward by nature's own alien lights?
On occasion, the aurora sometimes brings out sighting reports from people who are not used to what they see. They try and interpret what they see in the aurora as something unearthly. Those are people who truly want to believe that they've seen something.
But the most well-known close encounter involved a flight captain with 30 years' experience interpreting the sky.
One of the most famous UFO cases anywhere in the world took place in Alaska.
It begins as a routine cargo flight on November 17, 1986. A Japanese plane loaded with wine leaves Paris on the long haul back to Tokyo. But over Alaska, JAL Flight 1628 becomes anything but routine.
This is the first time they've ever had radar data for more than a few seconds on a UFO.
John Callahan was the FAA division head in charge of evaluations and investigations at the time of the JAL flight.
You have an airplane or a structure or a craft that's sitting outside that 747's window, and it never entered my mind that it might really be a UFO until I saw the radar.
Just after 6 p.m., Captain Kenju Terauchi and a crew of 2 enter Alaska airspace for the second leg of their journey, heading for Anchorage. At the helm, Captain Terauchi has nearly 30 years in the cockpit. At 6:19 p.m., the crew sees something on the radar. Unable to see another plane outside the window, they ask the control tower to identify it.
Anchorage Center, Japan Air 1628.
Do you have any traffic? 11 o'clock above?
Japan 1628 heavy, negative.
Moments later, the crew sees a pair of lights on the horizon.
Inside, we have 2 traffic in front of us, about a mile ahead.
Anchorage Air Traffic Control still sees nothing.
Over the next 30 minutes of that flight, a variety of incidents and things occurred that made this flight the mystery flight of UFOs.
Coming up.
We're not sure, but we have the traffic in sight now.
It's a huge ship out here. It's no longer an airplane. It's some kind of a huge thing out here that's 4 times as big as an aircraft carrier.
November 1986. As JAL 1628 approaches Anchorage, the crew reports seeing strange lights. Over the next 40 minutes, one of the most famous UFO stories in the world unfolds over the skies of Alaska. The JAL transmission catches Anchorage Air Traffic Control off guard.
We're not sure, but we have the traffic in sight now.
And when the controller hears these words, it's like death approaching him, because it means that somehow he screwed up. He missed something. Something's wrong somewhere.
Anchorage Air Traffic Control now asks Flight 1628 to maintain visual contact with the unknown craft.
We cannot identify the type, but we can see the strobo lights. The color is white and yellow, I think.
Quite a big. I think very quite a big.
The captain is now seeing a massive, unidentified flying object.
It's a huge ship out here. It's no longer an airplane. It's some kind of a huge thing out here that's 4 times as big as an aircraft carrier.
19 minutes after first encountering the unidentified craft, the crew nervously requests a new altitude and change to their flight plan. The goal, shake the unknown craft.
Request deviate from some object request heading 240. Japan Air 1628, roger, fighting 240. Japan Air 1628 heavy, deviations approved as necessary.
Air traffic control requests that the Japanese airliner make a full circle.
Japan Air 1628 heavy, sir, I'm going to request you to make a right turn 360 degrees, 360 degree turn, and advise me what your traffic does then. Japan Air 1628 heavy, sir, does your traffic appear to be staying with you? Disappears, Japan Air 1628.
Terauchi believes the unidentified object has disappeared. But now military radar picks up something behind the Japanese airliner.
1628 heavy, military radar advises they are picking up intermittent primary target behind you, in trail, I say again.
So you have radar confirmation of the object, you have professional aviators reporting the object, and military radar spotted them behind and to the left of JAL flight.
Air traffic control requests another jet close by, United Flight 69, to fly within sight of JAL and report any traffic.
Center from United 69. The Japan airliner is silhouetted against a light sky. I don't see anybody around him at all. I can see his contrail, but I sure don't see any other airplane.
But United Flight 69 is too late. The craft has vanished. JAL 1628 continues on to its scheduled stop in Anchorage. Safe on the ground, Captain Terauchi's story makes it to the press. Within weeks, JAL is international news.
This sighting was made by an airline pilot with 29 years of experience. The Federal Aviation Administration in this country began an investigation, and it ended today.
The FAA report concludes that the pilot's story cannot be confirmed. They determine that the second radar image is actually an echo of the cargo plane. But former FAA Department head John Callahan believes the official reports are wrong. Callahan's division investigated the radar and cockpit recording from the JAL flight.
Well, a blind man could see that there was another aircraft or craft of some type there because it shows up on radar. It had to be some type of a craft.
Callahan asserts the pilot's eyewitness account is independently confirmed by radar.
Everybody had that target on the radar somewhere along the line. If the pilot said it was a UFO, who are we to say it's not?
To this day, the flight captain maintains that he saw a UFO in the skies of Alaska. Coming up, a UFO encounter over Fairbanks.
I looked up at it, and I was just standing there, and I was actually terrified.
And a leading lie detection expert goes looking for the truth.
The key elements in the face that we see are the eyes.
In Alaska, the northern winter brings long, clear nights. Every year, Brent Mitchell investigates hundreds of winter UFO sightings.
Those reports come from all different types of people. You have professional people, you have working people. The average person that reports it has seen something.
When I first saw this UFO, I was like, this isn't man-made. This can't be possible.
I saw a flash of light, and shortly after that, a large orb appeared.
It was hovering approximately 800 feet in the air, and I could see it just as vividly as looking at a car across the street.
It was bright white. It was silent.
I thought to myself, oh my Lord, they really do exist.
My name's William Smith, and I seen something I can't explain. I don't know what it was.
One winter night, William Smith leaves work very late.
It was 10 to 1, March 16th, 2009. It's a day I'll never ever forget. I got off work, it was almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was pulling out onto the highway, and I seen this bright blue light coming from the left side. At first I thought it was a truck, because everybody around's got big, bright blue lights on their truck. I thought, oh my God, I just pulled out in front of somebody. Then I realized that the light wasn't coming from the road, that it was coming from above me. And then I was really scared. The light was literally shining down through the windows and onto the road and pretty much everywhere.
The UFO is now hovering over William.
I got out of the car, I looked up at it, and I was just standing there. I was actually terrified. I started looking around, praying that somebody else was standing there. And I was all alone out there. It was like, oh my God. It looked like an eye. And it had a white ring in the center of it with a blue circle in that. And it was probably 250 foot long, 125 foot wide. It was huge. There had no windows, no doors, and it was silent. And it was just floating along real slow. And then once it got past me, I jumped in the car and I started following it. It was exciting and terrifying all at the same time. I was keeping up with it, and it was starting to speed up, and it was going and going and going. I got up to about 90, and then it was just gone. It took off. I've never seen anything that fast in my life. It went from there to gone, just like that.
William comes home shaken by the UFO encounter.
When I first got home, I was so excited I could barely sit still. I did not sleep for 38 hours. Every time I'd lay down and try and go to sleep, I would close my eyes. That's all I would see was that thing flying along. That's all I could think about. I know I will never ever forget what I seen that night. I will never forget it.
Top lie detection expert Maggie Pazian analyzes William Smith's UFO encounter. She's reading his face for micro-expressions or tells. The question, is he telling the truth?
We're looking for a combination of movements on the face that, when they happen together, they relate to an emotion. If you look at this freezed frame of William Smith, the key elements in the face that we see are the eyes. The eyes are wide open. There's a lot of sclera visible, a lot of white visible above the iris. The lower lids are pulled tight, which is another key element of fear. And then in the lower face, we see a stretch in the lower lip, which is very common in fear. He shows this over and over again. These are key moments in the interview where he's sensing this fear, and he's showing us that he's feeling fear.
Pazian determines that his continued fear means that William is telling the truth.
He really, truly believes that he saw a UFO.
Incredible.
There is not a doubt in my mind that William saw something, and that it was unidentifiable, and it profoundly impacted his life. As far as Alaska, sightings are so unique and so diverse. When people are looking up, they'll see things that you wouldn't necessarily see in other places.
From its dark winters to its unknown wilderness, Alaska is home to many mysteries.
There's places here where man has never been. It's just immense.
There's something out there that I don't know what it is. It's not human.
I know I will never ever forget what I see that night. I will never forget it.
I think there's probably lots of things out there in the brush we don't know about.
In Alaska, mysteries and legends have thrived for centuries and always will.